Hello and welcome to episode 66 of the Disney Park Princess podcast. I'm your co-host, Sarah.
And I'm Heather.
I'm Charlotte.
Yeah, we should have kept pointing at each other. I love it.
Heather's all showing off her brand new chair to us.
Oh,
You can't see it because I cover the entire thing.
that is a little lower this week than she normally is.
Now I need a new desk that's not 7 inches too high. I'm typing like this.
All
But
right,
it's pink velvet and it's worth it, so it's fine.
now Charlotte's the only one without a pink chair.
Yeah, it's kind of green.
Peer pressure.
Also, it was
It's on sale
also
at
it
year
was
one.
free. So I'm not going to argue with free. I could spray paint it.
You probably could. No, can't you just recover it? Isn't that like a DIY thing? You probably do. All right.
Guys, my last office chair, I spray painted and reupholstered by myself.
Wow.
Look at me.
Well,
I have it in me.
trying to take the DIY crown from Charlotte. I'm not
Oh,
sure.
no.
How that's gonna, okay.
No, that was about all I did. That's it. No, I was good.
Look, I'm so proud I spray painted that headboard that time. So it was my big, it's my big accomplishment for the year. And that was it for 2019, really. So, all right.
If I was of the mind, I could do it, but why? I mean, it's fine. It's fine.
Because you want to be in the pink chair club. That's why.
Oh, I didn't know there was a pink chair club.
Hi.
Yeah, obviously.
There is. Okay, as of this weekend, there is.
Oh, no, we didn't tell you.
Forgot
There's
to
like a
invite you.
whole text thread going on. It's a whole group chat. We
Missing
didn't
out.
mention that? Yeah. No.
Okay.
All right, no pink chair club. No. All right. So this week on episode 66 of the Disney Park Princess podcast, we are going to be talking about, and now I completely forgot, did we decide on Epcot or did we decide on Animal Kingdom?
I think we decided on Epcot first.
Epcot. All right. So we decided to choose my pet peeve first, apparently. Here's my biggest pet peeve. When somebody emails me or writes into the podcast or passes me on the street and says, I think we're going to skip Epcot because our kids are young and there's really nothing there for them. I lose my mind. I lose my mind. A, because Epcot is my favorite park, and B, because it's just not true. It's just not true. But anyway, we'll get into it. But first, we have some news. So, all right, Charlotte, you had a piece of news that you very specifically wanted to discuss. So let's start there.
Yes,
Okay.
please teach us.
This is, first of all, I want to say that this is still brand new. And while I have the official website, there's still not a whole lot of information about it. But Run Disney is offering a new thing called Club Run Disney. You get with it, there are 3 different memberships: silver membership, gold membership, and platinum membership, and they're each various pricing.
Disney does love that, don't they? With the Castaway
they do.
Club, and they just love a precious metal division. Okay,
They
anyway.
sure do. So all of these go on sale beginning February 18th. So for example, the silver membership is $265. That does not
I'm sorry, a year or a month?
a year.
Oh, I hope it's a year.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Disney,
What?
anything's possible. Yeah.
Exactly.
You get a welcome package with a jacket, a magnet, membership card. Tier 1 pricing year round.
I'm sorry, I'm picturing like members only jackets from the 80s. Like, I belong to the Run Disney
right?
Club.
You get tier 1 pricing for the races, which means that these aren't even including race bibs or anything like that.
Just a fancy jacket.
You get Club Run Disney designation on your race bibs. The gold membership, you get a little bit more and a guaranteed opportunity to get a spot in one of the races. And the platinum membership is $800. And with it, this is the best part about the platinum membership, is that you get upgraded corral placement, which means if you're a slow runner like me and you might get, the very last corral, they'll move you up.
How much though? Like, are they only moving you up like 1 corral or 2 corrals, or are they moving you like?
No, you're not going to be in the very front.
Hmm.
But they'll move you up 1 or 2. Now, if you're a fast runner, this is completely worthless
Not
because
going to help you.
yeah. But for $800, I mean, I want race registration. I want
So $800 includes. So silver doesn't even guarantee you a chance to buy a bib.
No, you're just buying a
Gold,
jacket.
you get a chance to buy a bib at 1 race per year. Is that right?
Yeah.
And platinum, you get guaranteed a chance to buy a bib at how many?
At one race per year. Yeah.
So what? All right. I'm not a runner. I'm just going to preface this.
well,
I'm not a runner. Help me.
Okay.
Yeah, see, this is like if you see me running, I'm being chased,
Right,
so call the
You
police.
should
Like,
start too. Yeah.
but I feel like people are gonna go crazy about this because they everybody loves the
Because
club
people are club, yeah.
and they want to be exclusive, right?
There are some people who absolutely love Run Disney and will do every single Run Disney race and all of that. The upgraded corral would have really helped some people this past weekend when Run Disney cut the marathon short due to extreme temperatures, which I get that, but I wish not that I wish they'd done it the year that I ran it, but it was hotter than it was this weekend, the year that I ran the marathon. And because, again, when you're slower and then the heat slows you down even more, it takes you even longer. So that would have been nice. But at $800, there's no way I would have done that. And the race bibs already are like $300 for the half marathon, which is completely crazy. I hope that it does well for them. I hope that people love it and get what they want out of it. If you're going to spend that kind of money, I really hope you get what you want out of it. But please let me know if any of our listeners does this. Let us know, because I'm really interested in it. Run Disney is so crowded, but it's so fun. It's some of the most fun races that you'll ever do, but it's crowded.
I've done two, and I loved every minute of it. It was so much fun, and I'm so glad I did it. I just did 5Ks. I didn't do halves or anything like that, but I definitely did feel like it's such they're so crowded. It's just like every, just getting to the starting line and getting through it took 20 minutes. People had finished the race long before I ever even got to the start line. It was just like, it was just
so like if you're a quote unquote real runner, like this is your hobby and you're doing it, like you want to race because, you're trying to make all these personal records and all of that, like Disney's not the place you're doing it.
This is not the place.
You're just running because you're a Disney fan. And
I mean, this is not the place to do it because there's just so many people. The last time I ran the half marathon, I looked at my watch or whatever I was using to track at the time, and I did an extra mile of just the race course from going like this. I mean, and I'm super slow, so I'm not passing that many people except for the walk, people who are walking. But there's so much fun. But really, unless you're one of the very elite people who get in the very front, you're not going to beat any personal records. Most likely, if you're somebody like me who's going to be toward the back, I'm going to be fighting the crowds, which is fine because it is what it is. And
now you're doing a race soon, right?
Yes. I'm doing the Star Wars half in April. So we're doing the 5K because we wanted to take our time. They're not timed, the 5K. So we want to take our time, have fun, meet characters and all that, and then try to be a little bit more serious about the half itself. But I've never done the Star Wars 5K or races, so should be fun. So
tell me there's going to be costumes. Is there going to be costumes?
There has to be costumes.
There's going to be costumes. So when you signed up, you had to pick dark side or light side. And
which did you pick?
I picked light side.
No,
okay. I thought for sure
going dark.
On dark side.
The reason that I picked, you were going dark side.
The reason that I picked it is so there are 5 of us in our group that are going, and I knew that 3 of them already had picked dark side, and I said, well, I have to be different.
Oh, that's such a dark side thing to do, though.
Yeah. But then my other friend Amy, she's light side with me, so we've got 3 against 2 dark side. So.
All right.
But I have 2 different costume ideas in my head, and we'll see which one I decide to go with. But I got lots of time, so
stay tuned.
I was at Disneyland one year, I think the only year that they did the Star Wars race out here. I was doing something for work down there, so I was staying at the Grand Californian, and I had paid for a standard view but got put into a theme park view, and I woke up at like 5 a.m. to all the music flooded on in the park, and I like crawling out of bed, and you just see all these lightsabers running by. So I was like, okay, I put the tea kettle on, and I sat on the balcony and just watched everybody do their thing. It was really cute.
Yeah, they're very fun races. I figured if you're gonna do a race this distance or a half marathon or a marathon, you might as well do it at Disney because they've got bands, they've got characters, it's so fun when you're miserable running 13 or 26 miles. At least it breaks
At
it.
least you're
Or
having
you
a little
could
bit of
be
fun.
like me, who's sitting at like the bar while you're running for 13 miles.
I'll sit at the bar after I'm finished. But.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. So that's Club Run Disney. And like Charlotte said, did you join? Like, are any of our listeners runners? Did you join Club Run Disney? I know of at least one person who's a serious runner.
I'm interested, like, why did you join? What
I want to know why.
What appealed to you about it?
Yeah.
Yep. Well, registration opens on February 18th, so
nobody
you have a month to think about it.
Okay, so are you going to buy? I guess.
Yeah.
Question. Okay. This is very sad news because we just talked about this person a few weeks ago on our podcast. So Auntie Kauai at the Polynesian has passed away, and I'm just really sad about that. So for those of you who don't know, she was sort of a cultural icon at the Polynesian. She was a person of Hawaiian descent who was there to sort of, she taught how to do hula or how to make leis, or she was just sort of a cultural ambassador. And she'd been there for, I don't know how many decades, but I think she might have been there since opening day. I think that's actually possible.
Yeah.
And she was just a remarkable, sweet, lovely person. And so she's very missed. She will be very missed.
Yeah, so. I was sad to see that the other day. We
had just talked about her.
I know.
It's like, oh.
Do you guys remember when we were there for work the one time and we all had to do like this massive group lesson in the lobby? That was fun.
She saw a big group come in and she did it herself. She
corralled our entire agency. Yeah.
It's great.
It was the best. Yeah. So that was very sad news. Okay. Happy Halloween.
I'm on.
Yeah. We're already talking about it. But wait for it. Did you know that they have already announced that the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party will be starting next year on, wait for it,
August 1st?
13th. You're close. August 13th. 3 full days sooner than 2019. August 13th. So.
Is that a Friday the 13th? That would be fun. Let's see.
Let's see. All right. If it is, I'm going to back off of my.
It's not.
But then they shouldn't have it until October 1st then.
I wanted it to be Friday the 13th. That was going to be the only acceptable reason. And then,
no, it's a Thursday.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Yeah.
More parties than ever this year. More parties than ever.
Yeah. Well, it is. They're doing what they're doing, and
it must have been successful enough in August last year that they decided to back it up even further. I mean, I do think there's something to the fact that people will buy tickets to these events. And look, I like the Halloween party. I like the Christmas party. I don't know that I want to wear a costume in Walt Disney World in August, but
when it's super hot, humid, it's probably going to rain during the party. That's not fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, it just and look, how you feel about Christmas is how I feel about Halloween. Like I have a whole month of events, so I'm on board for the Halloween party. It's my favorite. But why? To me, it just says we're greedy. We're trying to make money, and we're going to sell you these $120 tickets because you're going to pay for it.
I'm dying laughing at your cat giving herself a full-on bath in the background.
The sun is out.
I'm also highly envious of her sunspot right now. I'd really appreciate that.
This is why we live in California.
Yeah. If you're not watching this on video, youtube.com.
That is Tweedledee, everybody. So, he's my Disney.
I think he just figured out, they're on to me.
They're talking about me.
Got it.
I don't think you can see his face really, but the look of pure evil and hatred that is looking over my shoulder right now. Oh. He's so mad I woke him up.
All right.
He moved over. I don't
want to be on camera.
Yeah.
He's not ready for his close up.
No.
All right. So, the Canada film opened.
Yeah.
You guys want to talk about the Canada film?
They said, I forgot. Now the name has completely escaped me what it's called, but people have loved it. They said that they thought that Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara are very, very funny, and it's the whole the score is great, and it's just a very charming film. That's what I heard. So,
and I heard that those were the two. I mean, that's a guaranteed good time. Like right there,
Yep.
that, I mean,
I love them.
I'm all set. Like I'm in, I'm here for it. Yeah, it's not called Canada Far and Wide. It's called.
Yeah.
Canada Far and Wide. Okay, so that's opened, and then on Friday, the new movie at Living with the Land or the Land Pavilion is opening. That one is Awesome Planet, and also keeping it in the family. It's narrated by Ty Burrell from Modern Family. So
Yeah.
it'd be pretty good too.
Yeah, I think he did the voice in a voice in Finding Dory. So and plus he's on ABC, so he's a good.
Yep.
Good and in the Muppet, he was in the Muppets movie or the sequel, Muppet sequel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, and then the last piece of news that I found is that they had been testing a breakfast menu at the Friar's Nook in the Magic Kingdom, and apparently it has been made permanent. And apparently there are sausage gravy tater tots, and I want them.
Yummy.
Yeah, I'm in.
I'm just going to say I am the worst Irish person in the world because I hate potatoes. Hate. Unless they are slathered in gravy and mashed, that is the only time I will eat potatoes. I'm not a tot. Why do people eat them? I don't know.
Why do I hang out with the two of you? She doesn't like
into
potatoes.
this.
I don't
let me into this.
How did we become friends?
I am very excited, regardless of the menu. Because I don't know what's on it, honestly, besides what you just said.
I think there's regardless, like a cinnamon roll, that whole type of thing.
I'm so excited because I think the Magic Kingdom desperately needs more breakfast.
100%.
And Friar's Nook being in Fantasyland is a perfect place for that because people flock to Fantasyland first, for the most part. So I think that's
all headed right for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
Yeah. So I think hey, you guys go get in line for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. I'll go to Friar's Nook and get breakfast.
Yeah. All right. I found the menu. Hang on. It's a breakfast sandwich, the cinnamon sugar donuts, and the sausage and gravy. They're calling them potato barrels, which is funny. But that's funny. So it's a very limited menu.
But
what's
I'm
on
all
the
in.
breakfast sandwich?
Fine with all of that. Yeah, it's so the breakfast. It's a bacon, egg, and cheese served on a multigrain croissant with potato barrels.
I'm in for the sandwich, just not the tots.
I love the name. Potato barrels.
Yeah, I like it. That's funny.
All right. So that does it for the news this week. Next up, we're going to be talking about why Epcot should not be skipped. I don't care if you have toddlers or young children or teenagers or adults. Epcot is a mandatory stop.
Best park in the world.
I know this is where we put our little music break if you're watching us on YouTube. All right. Let's get into it.
Who doesn't like Epcot, people? Come on. What is wrong with you?
So it's interesting to me. So I get this question almost daily, I swear to God, or this statement. I have little kids. I think we're going to skip Epcot.
Can you see the eye roll happening?
Yeah. Well, and I'm so glad that most of my clients aren't on video with me because otherwise they would see that I do every single time. And it's annoying to me that the only thing I have to say to them is, well, do your kids like Frozen? Because that's where the Frozen ride is. And then they go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But there's so much bigger than that.
Yeah.
So much bigger than that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think first of all, the reason that people want to maybe skip one park is because the price difference in a 3-day ticket and a 4-day ticket, that's where the price jump is. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're going to go ahead and get 4, it's not that hard to say go to one each park, but the price difference is large. So get past that and do your 4 days and then go to each park. Epcot has, number one, let's start with KidCot, because that's a simple thing that they put in that kids absolutely love. Depending on the time of year, you can even get different things. Like they have different things for Halloween or food and wine and things like that. Yep. But basically you go to each country around World Showcase and they can color with people from that country. The cast members who work there are from that country. So it is the biggest way to get some culture besides the coloring. I mean, what kid doesn't love to color? But the cast members really interact with them. They write their name in that language. So especially like Chinese, Nora has a little thing with her name on it in Chinese and Japanese, just in the different.
And in Morocco, they do the Arabic. They write your name in Arabic, which is nice.
Yep.
Yeah, and so that's a neat thing. But you get to really interact with these people who are from this country who have come to the United States to work, and you can learn so much from them. I get a lot out of it just going to.
I love watching the Kid Kat stops. I mean, if I thought I could get away with it, I would absolutely try to do it.
I've sat down and colored with and without nieces too. Like I'll just go, and I'm like, I need a minute, and you just
can do it. Yeah.
So, and Kid Kat is fantastic, but let's back it up even further than that, though, because there's a lot of attractions that appeal to kids at Epcot.
Yeah.
So the Seas with Nemo and Friends. Can we all get on board with every kid likes an aquarium? Every kid likes an aquarium.
Yeah.
Period. Starts with a cute little ride, ends with an aquarium. Turtle Talk with Crush.
Yeah.
I mean, it's designed for small children, right?
There's the manatees that you can go look at, and you can sometimes even feed them the lettuce or watch them feed them. Every kid loves that. There's the play area where you can put your face inside
the shark
sub house.
I don't know what it is about kids and putting their face inside a thing that looks like something else, and then you take their picture. And it's all over, not only all over World Showcase, it's there in the Seas with Nemo and Friends. I mean, it's.
Well, okay, I'm going to throw something out there, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of like nasty comments, and that's cool, but this is my opinion. At what point, and I'm fairly certain that this is our generation that did this, so we are to blame here. At what point did it become, oh, there's no Disney characters, so the kids are going to hate it, and we can't go? Epcot was made to be educational, edutainment, right? Like they created that term for Epcot. So at what point did we start thinking if there's no princess or no Mickey Mouse, our kids aren't going to like it? Like you said, you probably go to aquariums in your local area, right? Like kids want to learn. It's interesting to them. And when we make it like, oh no, they're not going to, it's too much. They're not going to like it. But like we're taking that away from them.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think people underestimate kids and their willingness to be engaged in something, and because it might feel slightly educational, it's like, oh, well, that can't possibly be fun. Epcot was designed on the premise that that's just not true. You can have fun and educate and entertain.
So get their hands dirty and get their hands on. So whether they're in the aquarium, putting their hands on the glass, they're coloring, stuff like it, they don't need to be on a ride 24/7.
Yeah.
Right. But even some of the rides, like Living with the Land. Living with the Land is, great for little kids.
It's great.
Interesting, and they like seeing all the plants, and it's a boat ride, and kids love boat rides, and Figment, like that entire section of the park, that entire little triangle there is designed for younger children.
Even when when Nora was very young, and she's 8 now and still loves Epcot, but when she was very young, she loved Living with the Land.
Ryan too.
I mean, just because it's boring doesn't mean it's not fun.
Yeah.
And I think
it's not boring.
No, I don't. I did air quotes. Sorry.
Okay.
I just I don't think it's boring either. I love that ride, and I see something different every time I go, and I learn a lot, and I love Epcot.
We could have dropped Ryan on that ride in the morning and picked him up at night, and he would have been perfectly fine.
Yeah. Because how do you know what's going to spark your kids' interest? And like, they might all of a sudden now they want to be a scientist that learns better ways to grow plants, or maybe be a farmer. Like they're learning stuff that's going to, interest them for the rest of their lives here. This is kind of their first taste at it, which is fantastic.
Yeah. And also just the way that Epcot sort of ties things together. So there's sort of like a running. So you go on Living with the Land and you see the greenhouses, and then you go upstairs and you eat at Garden Grill, and they're using the food that you just saw them grow. Like that's the type of thing that really creates links of learning for kids, so when you take something and you learn it on this thing and then you move it upstairs and it really sticks with kids because they remember, oh, that's that time that I went to that restaurant. The restaurant spins and you could see into the ride and you could see, and then we were in the greenhouse and then we ate the salad that had the lettuce from the whatever, yes, children do eat salad. There are children out there that eat salad.
And even take it one step further, and they kind of advertise for this on the ride, but you can take that behind the scenes tour, which I love. And it's very inexpensive for a tour at Disney. It's less than $20. I'm not sure the exact pricing. It's less than $20, and it's like an hour long. So it's so fun. Yeah.
Yep. Perfect.
Yeah.
So then, are there rides that are not designed for young children? Sure. Test Track depends. That's got a height requirement on it. Mission Space, so on and so forth. Those can, Mission Space though, you've got the less intense and the more intense. So if your kid meets the height requirement, it's fascinating. And a lot of the cues for these things are really interesting. Like, now, granted, my son is obsessed with cars to a degree that is probably unusual. But Test Track to him, like the line in Test Track is basically the best thing that's ever happened. Like, to get to to see, even just walking past like all of like the crash test dummies and like all of that stuff. And I hate that queue because it's so loud when you first get into that building. But then you get to the car designing thing. There is, I know of very few children who don't think the car designing part of the Test Track queue is not one of the coolest things going.
Yeah, it's very cool. I don't think I've been in the standby queue since they redid it.
Either. I was just thinking, I'm like, wait a minute. I can only picture the old queue.
Yeah. But either way, no matter which queue you go in, you get to design a car. So,
exactly. Yeah.
And Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be a little bit more grown up, but I think it's going to be fun.
These queues, or they have play areas and things for kids to do at the end while they're waiting for the rest of their party. So Mission Space has that giant jungle gym type thing going on. There's video games where other kids who maybe are a little bit older but they didn't want to ride, they can play video games, they can race each other.
Yep.
There's tons to do there.
Yeah. Epcot's so interactive. It's almost like sort of the Please Touch Museum or something like that, where there's so many ways for kids to get their hands on stuff and flip buttons and answer quizzes and design things and really get engaged and involved. And if you would miss so much. But then here's the thing everybody says, I mean, my kids aren't interested in the World Showcase.
Yeah. Why?
Why? What made you think that?
I think that they would be if you gave them a chance to do it. I mean, there's a lot of there's so much culture in every single pavilion. I find it all fascinating. Yeah. And they're not going to love it if you don't give them a chance to love it. Go into the different areas with a little museum and read about all the stuff and read it to them if they can't read, and they'll be they'll find it fascinating and they'll want to know more about it. Maybe not every single one, but
I was just going to say, maybe not every single, but I mean, I remember learning in school, like you do the Mexico unit in that they're sixth grade or whatever. And then you do like another unit, whatever. And there's always some country that sort of grabs your imagination, right? That sort of resonates with a kid, and so is every kid going to love every country in the World Showcase? No, probably not, but you never know what is going to capture, a child's fascination. Like the Morocco Pavilion, for example. So there's no ride and so I think a lot of people they just zoom right past that pavilion. Like they really don't take the time to explore. It is the most beautiful pavilion.
Stunning.
There are incredible little sort of like alleyways and places to explore and little shops that you never knew existed. And it's incredible. There's great musical performers, there's great foods, and it's like, that's an entire thing that your kid would be missing.
Yeah. Also, I will say, first of all, just touching on the food, people refuse to eat there. Like, oh, I'm not going to like it. Those are my 3 favorite restaurants in all of Epcot.
It's really good food.
All 3 of them. But beyond that, the one in the back, Restaurant Marrakesh, is not only is it stunning, but they have a belly dancer that comes out once an hour and puts on a show while you're eating. And I can't tell you the amount of times that I've been in there and all these little kids, I'm talking from like a year-old toddler up to teenagers, are on the floor with this dancer trying to like shake their hips, and they're having the time of their lives. And no, it is not a big e-ticket attraction. It's not a roller coaster, but for those 5 minutes, those kids are having a blast, and it's something that's going to stick with them.
Same thing with Beer Garden and the Oompa, the Oompa bands and everything, and the dancing, and the kids just
run right onto the dance floor.
They have no. It's so funny. They have no fear. They just run right up and start shaking it. I love it. It's fantastic. And there's so many opportunities like that. Now, I will say that I think a lot of people, if you went, like if you're our age or your age and my age, because they're two different ages, but if you went to Epcot, say in the 80s or whatever, and as a child, I will say it probably wasn't as interactive, and there maybe weren't, like, there was no Kid Cut, there was no, I know.
R.I.P. the real Figment, okay, and the ImageWorks playground, because I still remember that. That's my favorite thing. That was the best.
The Kodak Imagination Playground, it was the best. But I think a lot of people didn't have a great experience as a kid, and they've held on to that, and in their heads, that's still what Epcot is. And they've come so far. They've changed so much. They've adapted. And as we know, Epcot is in let's call it a growth period, right? Let's call it.
Call it
that. Under construction. I know. It's completely under construction. And in a few years, I think it's going to be even more appealing to kids with all of the things that they're adding and updating and changing. And no matter how you feel about the changes, I know, Heather.
They're ruining Epcot. It's fine.
I know. But I still think it's going to be, worth a visit for everybody. Like, don't skip it. And that's where the good food lives. Can we all agree?
All the good food. Although I would like a few more options for counter service, if I'm honest, because I usually just find myself at lunch. What do I want to eat? Like, there's nothing that grabs my imagination, so I'm always at some restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay. However, with now year-long festivals, you can pretty much eat counter service / snacks year long. We didn't mention this in the news, but Festival of the Arts starts this week. So that's another
blog post on that.
Yeah, I wrote a blog post on it this week, but that's why it's on in my mind. But it's the festival. It
never ends. I think you have July where there's no festival.
Yeah.
So for counter service, just eat your way around the thing. Get your little stickers in your passport. And you're good. There you go. Yeah.
And there are some great counter service places, but I agree. Especially since, they've gotten rid of Electric Umbrella, so sort of in Future World. And so, there's, a couple more wouldn't be the end of the world, but I agree. Those food.
But touching on the food, don't be afraid to try something that you think that you wouldn't like either. Like, go to Norway, and maybe if you don't feel like having the buffet, grab something at the little counter service there. They have some really good sandwiches that aren't too different, quote unquote different, So don't be afraid to try things, because the food is really good. It's really good.
It is the perfect way to introduce kids to new foods. Like, if your kid isn't going to try new food at Disney World, I don't know where they're going to try it, but if Mickey says so. And there's tons of great, really appealing, international cuisines, but there's also really familiar stuff. But if you're from somewhere that doesn't have a great pizza culture and you've never had really great pizza before, you go to Via Napoli.
Oh, mind blown.
Come on. Like, that's
I dream about
the first time that you actually taste what pizza is supposed to taste like.
Or that at Tutto Gusto, that lasagna that's there is amazing.
I love that lasagna. Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's food that we can get all the time, but it's different. Because
it's authentic. Closer to authentic anyway, because it is still,
But familiar. That's what I'm saying. So even if you don't want to step outside of your box completely food-wise, there's still things that are familiar, but probably a better version than you've ever had at home.
Yeah.
So,
For sure.
All right. Well, hopefully we've convinced you, because
if you skip Epcot, I'm sorry, you're doing life wrong. You just are.
Even under construction. Like
Yeah.
even under construction, like even as it looks right now. And believe me, I almost cried the last time I was there because
Can we mourn the loss of Interventions, because I really love Interventions.
yes,
I loved
so
Interventions.
with you.
I loved the piggy bank adventure so
I
much.
know,
I
that was
wanted to
really
steal
fun.
one and
My
take it home
favorite.
with me.
Yeah,
That was
my
really
favorite.
fun. That one was really
I
fun.
will say though, the last few years, I felt like Interventions had sort of like
Because they stopped investing in it, and they
Yeah.
stopped
That was a shame.
making it what it was supposed to be,
I
right?
think
But
they knew this was going to happen, and
Yeah.
then they just. But
Yeah, just
I'm
stop renewing contracts.
yeah, I'm very excited to see I know technically that Walt Disney World is never finished, but I'm really excited to see the finished product of Epcot.
Yeah.
And like in a few years when this is all done and they have the different areas and all of that. I don't know what they're calling them. Lands, I guess.
Neighborhoods?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see it because I think that the concept art that we've seen is really good, and I like that.
Yeah.
So
I'm
It's
reserving
almost
judgment
two
on it
different
until
parks.
I see it. But
Yeah.
you know,
Still, it's going to be like two different parks with World Showcase and then the rest of it.
yeah.
It's not going to be called Future World anymore. It's going to be the rest
Oh,
of it.
yes.
Yeah.
Discovery Land or whatever. I don't even remember what they named them all, but yeah. But so even under construction, even with rides down right now, even with new rides not open, it is 100% still worth visiting.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And go see Spaceship Earth before they ruin it.
when does it close? I think it closes this week, doesn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it might close soon.
I honestly refuse to pay attention to any of it. Like, I'm so upset. I'm so upset about it.
Yeah. I'm excited about it. I mean, here's the thing. You have to embrace the change. And while it may not be what you remember,
I do not have to embrace it.
keep moving forward. Keep moving forward.
I am happy right here.
We go on, like they say in Illuminations.
Yeah.
Which is no more. How do we feel about that?
So I'm laughing very hard at everybody's reaction to my reactions last week. But yes, we heard you. Yes, I'm a cartoon character. I know. I get it. All right. So that does it for this week's episode of the podcast. Coming up soon, I'm not sure if it's next week or maybe the week after, but we're going to do a listener Q&A episode. So email us, info@disneyparkprincess.com. You can post on our Facebook group. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, you absolutely should be. So there are two things. There's our Facebook page, which is one thing, and there's our Facebook group, which is another thing. So our Facebook page is just where we sort of post announcements and alerts and things like that. Our Facebook group is where you can join in and start conversations and participate and talk to other listeners, get information, communicate with us. It's much more interactive than just our Facebook page. Okay, so like the Facebook page, join the Facebook group. Got it? Excellent. Okay.
If we get enough questions, we'll do it next week. If we don't, we'll do it again.
And these are our favorite episodes to do. So
yes,
throw us a bone, send us a question.
So I think we've got like one or two in the hopper that we haven't gotten to yet. So we'll do those, and then we need more. So email us, Facebook us. Make sure that you're following us on Instagram at Dis Park Princess. Make sure that you're following us on Pinterest, Disney Park Princess, and please make sure that you are supporting us on Patreon. Patreon is how we pay for all of these things, for our web hosting and our podcast hosting and all of those mundane little details that keep a website and a podcast going. So patreon.com/Disney Park Princess. You can join us at the $2 a month level, a $5 a month level, or a $10 a month level, and each little level gets different perks. So thank you so much. All right, we will talk to you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.